Hello everybody. Exactly 2 weeks ago, I tried my first winter experience or winter climbing experience in the beautiful state of New Hampshire. It was my attempt to climb Mount Washington, which is the highest peak in the northeast of the United States. Let me tell you up front, I did not make it to the summit, but there were quite some interesting experiences and lessons that I took. And this is what I want to share with you today. I'm gonna tell you everything why I did not make it to the summit. It was a little bit of out of my control, but even that, it was actually a great learning for me as well. Before I do that, let's just take in a little bit of this beautiful, beautiful view here in Hoboken, New Jersey. All right, so let's talk about climbing Mount Washington in the winter. But first things first, 3 facts about Mount Washington. First, its summit sits at around 6,300 feet. And as I mentioned before, it is the highest peak of the northeast of the United States. Fact number 2, it is notorious for its erratic weather. And for a long time, it actually had the record for the fastest wind gust, which is kind of crazy. They registered wind gust of 231 miles per hour, which is it just blew my mind. And fact number 3, to get to the summit via the Lionhead winter route, which was the one that I took, you cover 8.2 miles and have an elevation gain of 4,250 feet. All right, so now let's talk about my personal experience trying to climb Mount Washington and what I've learned. And I'm gonna break this down in 3 sections: the logistics and how to get there, the gear that you need to climb the mountain on a safe way at least. You can go crazy and climb naked if you want, but that's not the case. That's not what I did, and that's not what I would advise you to do. And finally, your personal preparation, your body and your mind, and how well do you need to be physically to be able to climb that mountain. So logistics, getting there is kind of easy. You can just drive all the way to the head of the trail. I mean, there's plenty of lodging around Mount Washington. It's pretty easy to get there and to stay there before your summit attempt. So an important logistics question that I think comes to mind is, do you need to hire a guide to climb Mount Washington? And the answer is not that easy. The answer is that it depends, and it depends on basically one thing, in my opinion. Have you done winter hikes before? Have you used equipment for winter mountaineering before? Have you used crampons and ice sacks before? If you have, then for me the answer is no, you don't need a guide. The trail is very well marked. GPSs and maps will easily take you there. There's plenty of people trying the trail as well. So you see a lot of people on the trail with you. It's not that isolated. So yeah, if you have some experience using the equipment, then you don't need a guide. If you have no experience at all with winter mountaineering, which was my case, then I would definitely advise you to get a guide, because basically the guide is going to help mitigate the risk of your summit attempt. He's going to help you get around the equipment, make sure that you have everything, and just basically give you some peace of mind when you're trying to climb the mountain, and let you focus basically on the physical challenge and the mental challenge of climbing the mountain. So that's it about hiring a guide. I hope that kind of helps a little bit. And this takes me to the question of, should you hire a guide by yourself, just you and the guide, or should you go and try to climb as part of a group? Of course, climbing as part of a group will make it significantly cheaper. Guides can be quite expensive, a few $100s for you to hire a guide just for yourself. And this is where I guess my experience makes me a little bit biased. This was the major success factor, or factor for lack of success, to reach the summit. I hired a guide and I went as part of a group, actually, me, another guy, and the guide. And whenever you go in a group such as this one with only one guide, what happens is, if someone gets hurt during the climb and that person needs to turn back, that person's not going to be able to finish the climb, then everyone has to turn back. This is basically why I did not reach the summit of Mount Washington. The weather was perfect. The weather conditions were great. I mean, I was not tired at all. The other guy from my group, he just couldn't handle the trail. It gets a little bit intense. He was basically out of shape. And at a certain point, maybe 3 hours in of hiking, he started having cramps and he just couldn't progress anymore in a safe way. And this is what you need to keep in mind. Wherever you are in the trail, when you're going up, you have to remember you're only halfway. You still need to get down, right? And if you start cramping and you push yourself too much to get to the summit, then you're putting yourself in danger to climb all the way back, because your legs won't be able to take you down anymore, in a safe way at least. So my experience is, unless you know the group and you're pretty sure that they have the physical conditions to make the climb with high chance of success, I would advise against joining a group of people that you don't know. It's better to spend a little bit more money and make sure that if you don't reach the summit, it's because of your own conditions, than to spend money and not being able to reach the summit because of someone else. And this basically pissed me off quite a bit, because I mean, I travel all the way there to New Hampshire, around 7 hours by car, to spend the weekend, and not being able to make the summit was very, very frustrating. So that's it. That's my 2 cents on going with a group or going by yourself. Go with a group if you know the group. If not, then you might as well just pay some more money and go by yourself. Okay, so now let's talk about something less frustrating, at least for me, which I actually like very much, which is gear. What kind of gear do you need to climb Mount Washington in the winter specifically? Very important. You gotta have a backpack, winter clothes, that's kind of the basic stuff. But technical gear, I would say it's very important to have crampons, or it's pretty mandatory to have crampons. The trail is covered in snow for most of the time, some icy patches. You cannot do that with micro spikes only. And so crampons, mountaineering boots to be able to handle the cold and the conditions of the trail again. An ice axe, quite important as well. Again, it is not a very technical trail. It's not you're not gonna need, let's say, ice climbing types of axes. Just a regular mountaineering axe will do the trick, and you're gonna use it more for your safety, to help you a little bit on the trail, but mostly for your safety if you need to self-arrest in case you slip and you fall in the trail, to make sure you actually don't die there. There are some areas that are pretty much exposed. If you do slip and fall, you would be in danger, your life would be in danger. So it's not something to be taken lightly. So make sure you have an ice axe as well. So besides that, gloves, of course, at least a couple of pairs of gloves, some liners and some heavy gloves. Make sure you dress in layers. When you're hiking up there, you're gonna get pretty warm. You don't need that many layers. When you get to the summit, well, I didn't get it, as you know, but there's quite a bit of wind there. Make sure you bring something warmer when you're in the summit, so you can just take your time, take some pictures and so on. Even like during the trail, when you stop, if it's very windy, the temperature of your body can drop very, very fast. So make sure you dress in layers or carry some layers with you. And very, very important, sunglasses or even goggles if you want. Because of the wind, again, the goggles may be a better option. You don't want to go snow blind, so make sure you grab your sunglasses as well. And a spare pair would be actually a better idea. Food and water, of course, as with any mountaineering activity, but remember that in the cold, your body is actually using a lot more energy. So make sure you bring some good energy food, energy bars, protein bars, and snacks in general that can help you refuel during your climb or your descents in the case. And that's pretty much it in terms of gear. And finally, your personal preparation. This was the main factor that I did not make it to the summit. So you gotta make sure that you're well prepared. You gotta be able to do some steep hikes of 5, 6, 7 hours. You gotta make sure you can run a good mileage as well. Make sure your cardio is there, but not only cardio, your leg muscles. You're going to be using some leg muscles that you don't necessarily get when you're running, but if you are used to doing some hiking and getting some elevation gain, then you're better suited for that climb. Just be in shape in general. It is a strenuous climb, as I mentioned before. It is no easy task, so make sure you do feel in shape to sustain intense activity for several hours. That's basically what I have to say about physical preparation. In terms of mental preparation, how your mindset needs to be, remember it's going to be long, it's going to be cold. You got to focus on your technique all the way up. So if you're wondering if you can do it or not, you're doubting yourself all the time, it's not going to be any good for you. You got to make sure that you feel strong as much as you are strong. If you feel strong, then you can just focus on getting the technique right, so you are more efficient when you're moving up the mountain, and that's just going to make it a better experience for you. So focus your mind and your objectives before that, and be prepared for frustration, right? And in my case, it was someone else's fault. Maybe it could be your fault. Maybe you could just twist an ankle, which is not that hard to happen. And you gotta be able to deal with the frustration of getting back. I had thought about that before. I mean, I was very, very pissed off when I needed to turn back, well, because of something that didn't depend on me. But you gotta be able to handle that. If you're not prepared to turn back, you might put yourself in a position of danger if you try the summit attempt by yourself, where you were with a group before, or if you just push yourself too much beyond your limits. Remember, it doesn't matter how high you are in the mountain, you're only halfway through it. So make sure that you have your objective in mind and you're prepared to turn back. You're prepared for the frustration of having to turn back before getting to the summit. Those were my lessons from my experience trying to climb Mount Washington. It was an amazing experience, I can tell you. It's totally worth it. It's totally worth it to go with a guide if you don't feel safe, or if you don't feel comfortable enough to try something completely new. And make sure maybe you get a guide just for yourself, or go with a group of people that you know. Make sure that you enjoy yourself in the climb. It is beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I cannot stress this enough. So that's it for today. Those were my lessons from trying to climb Mount Washington. And I'd like to end with a question to you. Have you tried to climb Mount Washington, or maybe any other mountain? Make sure to let me know in the comments. What did you learn from it? What do you think about the logistics, or hiring a guide, or maybe the gear, or maybe your personal preparation? Let me know how you feel about climbing, and what are the lessons that you take as well. I'm Bernardo Marandino. Thank you very much for watching. If you liked the video, click the like button. If you don't, the other thing. Make sure you subscribe to the channel to know more things about outdoor activities, mountaineering, climbing, and that's basically what I like to do and what I'd like to share with you. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you here next time. Bye-bye.